You're listening to the Faith and Friction podcast with your hosts, Mac and the Rev. Welcome to the conversation.
All right, once again, welcome to Faith and Friction. Oh, they go right together because I don't think you can have one without the other. So what do you think, Rev? Welcome, man.
You know, what's so funny is that
Hey.
the more I've been doing this podcast, the more I'm finding peace in the midst of friction in my life. And there was a lot of it this week. There was just a lot of push and shove, and it's all good.
That's where you kind of live, right? I mean, you don't want to.
I think we all kind of live there if we're walking
Yeah.
the human
The
journey
experience.
together.
So faith and friction, and certainly we have friction in this topic. Rev, drum roll, please. So where's the friction? How do we flesh it out between or in the midst of faith and the concept of eternal damnation and a physical place called hell?
The most misunderstood religious word, I think, since the beginning of religion. A great tool to use to manipulate, to control, to dictate things going my way.
Yes, we were talking about this earlier, and we'll make reference to a lot of this as we go along, but there's a lot of things, if you go back into church history, whether it's Christian, but you can go back way further than that. I mean, any almost historical or ancient religion has a concept in some ways of a deity that is got a personality and that's pushing and not
True, but it wasn't just the original concept of karma, of cause and effect. And we can use hell, make it God's will for hell, this personalized torture chamber, if you don't behave. I think if you go back to the Nicene Council, you're going to see that hell was given a great deal of due, or a great deal of attention, if
Why
you
do you
will.
think that is?
Gosh, people aren't necessarily
Hello?
buying our doctrine. We need them to buy more. So if we have a threat there, we let fear be the great motivator.
And now we're the intermediary to help navigate that, to get you right with God.
I have an answer. The antidote to hell. I am the solution to the violent God that we have created.
It's called an indulgence.
Yes.
That came along afterward. So these are just some of the, we're broad brush stroking right now. All right. So let's take a look at a couple of just reasons or perspectives that sort of gave rise to this concept. And a lot of the Christians can go into the Bible and just pick and choose certain things that out of context can make a case for this. And yet, let's default to the rule of love. If God is love, then isn't there an incredible disconnect?
There's an incongruity there. Oh, and I fell in love with the Christian path that I follow today.
Yes.
Because there was a loving universe, a loving creator, a loving teacher who said, no, wait, there's a better way.
In a more loving way.
And then we slip in, wait a minute, I was sharing earlier.
Yeah.
I remember being introduced for the first time in a Sunday school class or a Bible class or a study.
Yeah.
We talked about the devil and hell way more than we talked about God and Jesus and love. And it was like, wait a minute, something's out of balance here.
Fear-based, right? What does this say right here? You can't see it if you're not watching the video. It says
friendly universe.
God is for us. I mean, how else if you look at it any other way, then you live in a fear-based religion, you live in a fear-based faith, and if you live there, you're afraid of God. Remember Rob Bell going, what kind of God is that?
Yep.
And then how does that permeate into the culture? I mean, it can't
trickle
help.
down spirituality. If a God is basically loving, then love should trickle down. If it
You would
doesn't, then
think.
there's an incongruity somewhere in the medium. That's us. But if it's a violent God, a vengeful, a jealous God, which many people are espousing today, guess what? We have permission to be vengeful, spiteful, and jealous.
I think we have an episode coming up that's going to directly address this kind of these dots that we connect between how we look at God and how we act, right?
Yes.
So stay tuned, gang. All right. Listen to the next episode that we're going to have. Stay with us. All right. So I picked this up. The guy was writing a book, and here's the prevailing perspective that we'll find out there when it comes to hell. Here's what this guy said. We need it, hell. We need it for our own good. Now, there's already a moxymoron, right? Yeah. We need it for our own good. And here we go, the good of our neighbors. What'd you say earlier? The meddling, right?
Meddling. You need it so that I can meddle. It's my excuse to meddle in my neighbor's life.
I love that when you said that, man. That's a great word. All right. For the good of our neighbors, because it reveals the horror of sin, the ways in which we are deceived into thinking hell is smaller than it is, and the truth of what happens when it is left unchecked by divine grace. Unchecked. So now all of a sudden, hell keeps us in check? Is this what this guy's
or our
trying
behavior?
To say?
Oh, your behavior is just putting you in a cycle, and you're going to continue to do this cycle. So you're going unchecked, getting away with God knows what.
We were talking about this earlier, that once you adopt a bit of all this, any part of what we're talking about right now, we go down the slippery slope. And now it's up to you to decide your morality. And it goes to all kinds of different places that it shouldn't.
Yeah. And it goes further. It's up to me to decide your morality. Wait a minute. It's giving me permission to meddle in your life and decide for you what is right and wrong.
Ooh.
Because my God can beat up your God, because my God's better and more right than yours.
Yes. And even if you kind of don't even have one, beware. Because whether you acknowledge it or not, it's the truth. I heard that a lot of times too. All right, let's see. Where
in a culture that treats sin flippantly at best and enthusiastically at worst, we need a scriptural vision of the self-absorbed, self-justifying, self-pitying, and self-destructive trajectory it sends us down. And this is just doom and gloom. The terrifying destination it ultimately reaches. If I don't interrupt you, if I don't meddle in your life, so my love says I'm going to meddle in your way.
Because I love you.
Yes.
And I don't want you to be in eternal torment. So therefore, there comes the self-righteousness, right? So therefore, I need to meddle because I'm doing it in love for the right reasons.
The dialogue and relationship is based upon my template, a template that's been handed down to me from generation to generation that may have a flaw in it. But as I'm going to live in my template that says I'm right, you're wrong, and so I'm going to save you. And I do believe, absolutely, it is got the roots of kindness and love in there. I want to save you from this torment, but I do think that it's flawed. Just because you think differently does not make you a bad person, an evil person.
And it's the torment, a lot of it, that we create ourselves, right? I mean, my daughter, I remember her telling me about saving, about God saving, or Jesus, on the cross and saving. And she goes, Dad, Jesus came to save us from ourselves, from that way that we don't look at things the way we should and the way that is designed, our divinity. And we just,
beyond even being saved or the word should, which gets my hackles up. How about Jesus just showed us that we're not defined by our mistakes. Yes. We're not defined by the moments we fell down, but by the moments we got back. Now, you can call that repentance, or it's just realizing that I'm not going to be defined by God, myself, or the world by when I fell down and made a mistake, but by something greater within me.
Yeah. That thing within inside of you, for me, is that presence of God. Call it the Spirit, call it whatever you want, but it's that thing that resides, that lives within that, for me, gives me the perspective and the power to be able to repent, to be able to turn from whatever it is I did.
That thing, the Spirit is the Christ. It's always been there. It's not so much that I have to invite it to be saved. I have to remember it's there.
Yes.
And so when I'm down on the ground with a mistake, I remember who I am. That's the moment of being saved from the experience that just happened.
Did everybody catch that? Shall we would you rewind that maybe 10 seconds?
I wish I could do that, but the reality is that
that's so good.
We have to
So
invite Jesus. It's not Jesus and Christ. You must draw a distinction.
Correct.
The Christ, it's already there. It's been standing at the door of your heart and your soul, knocking, going, don't forget I'm here. You're defined by a spiritual reality, not a human one. Not your mistakes, not even your intentional mistakes or your intentional wrongdoings. You're defined by your ability to forgive yourself, to move forward, and to do better the next time.
So let me ask you a question. Who has that ability and that essence?
I can give you my answer.
Everybody. Okay, I'll go along with that, right? I'll go along with that answer. Everybody. There is no distinction. God is no respecter of persons. Let's take something from the Bible.
The
all
rain
right?
falls on the just and the unjust alike.
I mean, we cannot apply cultural or the rule of law in society. Run a red light, you get a ticket, right? I mean, that keeps society safe and within some boundaries versus chaos. That's okay. But you can't take that concept, that way to look at justice and the court system and everything else, and now apply it over here to the way God operates. We don't operate in a pure way. God does. The Spirit does, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can it's
love
not the same?
Is love.
Yeah.
Oh, love is love for me, but not for the others who think differently than I do.
Yeah, it sucks to be you. Didn't you say that earlier? I love that.
But it won't suck if you just follow my template and do it the way I think.
That's right.
Do it.
So I got you. I got your back.
And do we need God as a moral compass to be free, to be happy, to be joyous, to be fulfilled, to be connected? I know people who do not believe in God as God is espoused.
As
they
defined.
are kind, they are compassionate, they're generous, and they are connected. I want to be in their presence.
And the reason they're like that is you've already said it, that everybody has that divine nature in them.
Yes.
And they're just expressing it aside from any kind of religious, I'm going to call it confines, but religious practice, whatever it might be. So what the hell's wrong with that?
So what we
Nothing.
have to do, what we do is we sacrifice our humanity, our limited view on the altar or the cross, if you will, of that limited definition so that the Spirit can be remembered. Answer the door. I'm standing at the door knocking.
Right,
just open the door. Oh my gosh, I forgot who I was.
Once you kind of start to get this, then you aren't on the slippery slope. It doesn't exist because now you're freed. Now your steps are amazing. They're on solid ground. Okay. For me, it was just, I can look at God that way.
It's the prodigal son. It's the
Hello.
God is the knocker. I'm at the door. Don't forget.
Right.
I'm here. When you open the door, it's the God that celebrates you. Welcome home.
Yeah.
And the idea of God, you didn't answer the door. I knocked 4 times, and now I'm going to condemn you to an eternal punishment.
Right.
Wow. It sounds like a God made in man's image. Very vengeful.
We
very
do that all the
spiteful,
time, don't
very
we?
jealous, very
You use the example of the
violent.
prodigal son as well. Did the father banish the prodigal son? No. He walked away on his own, right? He made a decision. He made a choice.
But I was always here waiting for you.
He said that to the young one and the old one.
Exactly. Everything I have is yours. Not because you accepted me or you did the right ritual or you sacrificed whatever, because this is the nature of God.
Yes.
A forgiving, a loving love. It's just love, period. There's no forgiveness needed in that story because the Father was love. And that's the God
That's right.
I believe exists. Not a respecter. The love is going to be given to everybody freely.
So the problem within that story is a misconception that both sons in different ways had of the Father.
Yep.
And I think we live in that place to some degree, because how about this? What do you think about this statement? A violent God produces violent people. Or fill in the blank.
Yep.
A judgmental God.
Creates judgmental people. Ooh,
A dualistic God creates
dualistic
dualism.
people.
I mean, it goes hand in hand. That if you look at God, to me, as anything else other than absolute pure love, right? Then first of all, we're doing our best we can as human beings let's just stick with love. Okay. Can we just do that? We get it wrong. And then we adopt those characteristics because we give God a personality, of course. All right. And we've missed, it's an adventure. We said this a lot of times in the old podcast. It's an adventure in missing the point. So how about this?
With the template, if the template we're using is that God is vengeful and violent and hateful, I now have permission to do those things. And sometimes it's very subtle.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not going to be hitting you or murdering you, but I am going to tear you down with words and judgment and attack anytime I get a chance. And then you'll begin to know by your fruits. This is the kind of God you believe in. And we wonder why nobody's buying in.
And when the ones that are buying in, look at the society throughout the ages, not just in this moment, all right? Take a look at all of the horrendous things, man's inhumanity against man, all in the name of God and righteousness and God's will. It's sad. But
also in the name of love. Yeah. I'm right. My God, my loving God loves you so much that I have permission to destroy you. Or he, a male, created a personalized torture chamber just for you if you don't toe the line. Man, that is a very scary universe and world.
Yes, it is. And we live in that fear place, right? I mean, it just is it's the way it's created.
I've got the evidence in my own life. That's a way to control people. Fear is a good motivator.
Absolutely.
Towards the moral compass. But I think love is a better motivator.
I would agree with that,
I believe the evolution of religion, as we know, we need to remember this.
Yes.
It worked for us, okay? I'm not going to bash. I kind of bash it. It's worked to a point to create a moral compass.
Yes.
Okay, people acted better as a result of the threat of hell. But maybe it's no pain, no gain, no love, no gain. The gain that's being called the new paradigm is a more loving religion running the planet, a more loving humanity running the planet. But we're afraid. Fear is running the thing. So what if I'm wrong? What if I love and then I get run over? We're going to have to risk.
We were talking about this earlier in a little meeting we had, right? That you're going to have to be bold, all right? There's just going to have to end up being some courage, friction, and some boldness. And yes, right, live in the friction, welcome it, see what it means and how it affects
That's
you.
what this podcast is. We may create some uncomfortableness. You don't have to believe anything we're saying.
No.
Just try it on for size and go, that's for me or not for me. But there will be friction.
Just a maybe. We talked about that before. So how about this? When God is portrayed as violent, and that portrait goes unexamined, it doesn't stay on the page. Love the way that's worded. Yeah. Communities who worship a violent God tend to give themselves the same path. History is full of people who picked up a sword and genuinely believed God was fine with it. You cannot separate how we imagine God from how we treat each other. I mean, it goes hand in hand.
And it's happening. Sometimes it looks like we're going after Orthodox Christianity. That's just because that's in our culture. Orthodox Islam is dying on the planet now because people are waking up. I've talked to people who are from Iran right now, which is dominantly Muslim. The Islamic culture is dying because they're like, it doesn't work. It's not right.
It's violent.
It's out of congruity with what I'm taught. And, the Quran is a little bit talking out of both sides of its mouth, depending on we're a victor right now or we're not a victor right now. We have an enemy or we don't have an enemy. And the people are waking up that there is a greater way than what's been interpreted by call them terrorists. At
the same time, you can fill in the blank with basically all across. Nobody's immune. I don't care what you believe or what religion you believe or what you ascribe to. We're all subject to the same things that we all have to somehow or other deal with, the friction that comes with them, and whatever runs through our grid.
We've all created a narrative with or without religion that gives us permission to act in violent ways.
Yes, we have. Yeah. Let's not deny that.
Here's my narrative because it really validates what I want to do.
Yeah.
It really validates the end result I want, and that's to be the victor.
And I gather around others who think the same thing and reinforce the same thing. There's another caution.
And again, being bold, those who are operating at the same vibration of fear, I will find them and they will find me. Then I feel comfort in
Yes.
our fear.
Yes.
Because we're a bigger army or a bigger gang.
And it's much easier to be against something or someone than it is to rally around what we're for. We love the boogie person. We love to point the fingers because, again, then you don't really have to self-examine much. You just, they're not. I think I've said this before. I don't know if you remember on a podcast, but think about how we teach kindergartners and first graders. Now, maybe not so much anymore, but in my generation, they would put this little book down in front of you with different shapes and different people or different whatever, right? And what's the mandate? Pick the one that doesn't belong. So we start right out. It's subtle.
It's the narrative. Let's go back to the prodigal son or the view of God. It's welcoming or it's not. A welcoming God will welcome people. A dualistic God will create a dualistic society.
There it
Plain
is.
and simple.
You can't help
So
it.
if you're counting what's missing or what doesn't belong, that's what you're going to get.
Separation.
And eventually, guess what? You're the one that doesn't belong because you have welcomed that into your field.
Oh, were you talking to me on that one, man? That's a great point. All right. There is a historical context to this place of punishment. We're not going to go into it. It's culturally been around for a long time. Certainly isn't just exclusive to Christianity, all right?
No, not at all.
I mean, it's out there.
When this idea worked when we had a foster home, we didn't use the word punishment. It was not part of the vocabulary. It was consequences. You do X, Y is going to happen. You do B is going to happen. Not punishment. It's just a natural consequence.
Yes.
And I think sometimes, I don't know who was it that said it, we're not punished for our sins. We are punished by our sin. We made a mistake and there's a natural consequence. No, it's easier to blame God than it is to take responsibility for getting up and doing it differently.
Something about that personal responsibility that somehow or other along the way gets lost. There's lots of references in the Bible, especially in the Old Testament, to certain things, Sheol and Gehenna. That's in the New Testament. And it's all, again, we're not going to get into a big discussion about that, but it's there, that it's interpreted that way. The dots are connected in a certain way to justify the fact that there has to be a place where bad people go or people that don't accept a certain dogma, right?
The basic dogma is that we're all bad people. We're born bad. We're born wrong because of somebody else's mistake.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a fairy tale, but that's the premise. I think the paradigm and the narrative needs to shift. And I teach every Sunday that you're basically born good and you fell asleep. All our job is to wake up.
It's our premise, right? It's, number one. So there you are. We don't want to go into it, but it's there. It's ubiquitous almost in culture across the globe to some extent.
Yeah,
right?
But you asked a question and you're always really good at this. I appreciate it. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? We're talking about it on a podcast, Faith and Friction. What's your answer? Why does it matter?
Yes. To me, it matters because now it frames how I look at the world, how I look at people, and consequently, how I act, how I think. Yeah. And it has I don't even want to call it a ripple effect. I'm going to call it the tsunami. Yeah. It's just the way we are. And again, what kind of society does it create? What kind of individual peace and joy and acceptance and oneness?
Yep. And I love the twofold nature of the way you answer my question. It's individually. All roads lead to, individually, what am I creating? There is a great we, and that is the tsunami. Enough people gather around the fear or the threat or the justification for violence. Guess what? That's what we're creating. So why does it matter to me? Because I think I want a better world than the one I inherit. That is living in those energies.
I think you're probably, I'll agree with that.
I want to leave my grandkids a little bit better world that isn't so fearful and violent and angry.
Completely agree. So the other question really I have when it comes to all of this, whether you want to call it, you have a Satan involved with it or a devil, all that other kind of stuff, is most of all of this is framed by Dante's Inferno, because it's a cultural thing. It happened I'm going to call it recently. I mean, not 500 years or whatever, 6,500 years, but it framed our perspective of a concept of hell. And that in literature, that happens a lot, depending upon the author, depending upon the circumstance. Look at Dan Brown. When he did all that stuff, all of a sudden, Jesus and Mary Magdalene are married, and she used to be in the photo. And I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying we now try to take fiction and apply it to absolute.
And again, I'm going to just out on a limb here and experiment a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe Dante's Inferno was very prophetic. I remember, it's been a long time, that the greatest of all sins is lying. Have we told a religious lie about hell, which is the greatest hell? We have perpetuated a lie of this place called hell, this eternal torment is the lie. And so the greatest lie is believing in hell, period.
Yeah.
Now, that's a very broad paintbrush, but I do believe that a lot of the suffering in the world, the moral code was there, yet it has caused suffering because the fear and the anger and the violence has been perpetuated with that moral code. It's a controlled, manipulated piece that no longer works.
There you go. It no longer works. We need to adopt a higher level of consciousness. Jesus, I want to have my consciousness continually grow and be, quote, raised, because Jesus was the perfect example for me of that. Yeah. And so I want to emulate that. And he basically said, if you kind of follow me, right? Wasn't that the whole follow me? All right.
And he changed the paradigm.
Yeah.
We should be afraid of those people. They are the enemy. Don't cross over there and talk to them. Don't have anything to do with them. He said, no, I am going to do. He brought the new narrative.
Yeah.
We are brother and sister. We belong to each other, not the enemy that I never talked to.
There's a oneness, right? We talk about oneness all the time.
And we all make mistakes. That's oneness. Guess what? Everybody on the planet makes mistakes.
Everybody's in that
sins,
boat, right?
if you will.
Yeah, there's a commonality here.
Let's meet each other at our humanness, and then through that human journey, meet each other at the level of the Christ, of the Spirit.
Oh, there's prophetic words right there, brother.
But it's the avenue. I have to go through our shared human experience to get to the Christ of our shared oneness.
Yes.
And I think somewhere Jesus, the man, is going, you finally got it.
Hello. Again, it's hard for me always to believe that there is a good God that actually created something like that. And there's all sorts of dogma, reasons why that's the case, and how you can justify that's the way it works. And all that falls on deaf ears as far as I'm concerned, because you're just trying to backfit something in to the equation. It doesn't speak to the rule of love.
I've done a study of people near-death experiences and people who have come back. I've talked to Jews, to Muslims, to atheists, to Christians, to Buddhists, to everybody. They all have the same experience. Oh my gosh, it was more love than I can even put words to. It was more than I even imagined it could be.
Yeah, I can believe that.
It had nothing to do with, well, did you believe the way I believed? It didn't.
Yeah.
So it is the lie. And when they come back, they go, we had it wrong. God is love, not violent.
We had it wrong. Could we just even consider that? You've already mentioned that same thing. Do you want to consider for a moment that just maybe I might have gotten it wrong? Let's start with me, and then it's a collective for sure. Because you go through the Bible, especially the Old Testament, you look at the prophets, he didn't pick on any one person except for sometimes he admonished a king. But the king was a ruler over the community, right? And so the admonishment is more about how you're affecting the community, and the community suffered, again, you go to the Old Testament, or was blessed in general. I'm not saying there wasn't certain things that happened there, but
he called them hypocrites.
Yeah.
He called, basically, it's just an actor. You're living a lie. It's not real. So what you're perpetuating is not serving the masses. There's a different narrative that needs to be perpetuated here. It's not like I'm attacking you, calling you a hypocrite. I'm just saying this isn't real.
Truth. Where do we apply the truth in all that? If we say it's not real, then it's not true. Wouldn't we think? Can you draw that parallel?
Capital T truth, little t truth. Your truth, my truth, like the one truth. I don't know if anybody's got a corner on the market of capital T truth. But we put your little t and my little t together, maybe we're getting a little bit closer. But if I make you my enemy and I push you aside and say, I'm a sheep and you're a goat, you don't belong, you're going to hell, there's no conversation that can happen.
Yeah, that
there's
breaks
no
down.
exploration or evolution that can happen to coexisting in trying to figure the puzzle about what is after this earthly journey.
The big T truth, I think along the way, we get some of that aha moment. As the spirit resonates, as we grow, as we mature in our understandings, then that big T gets a little clearer over time, hopefully,
I hope
for each
so.
of us.
I could certainly look at history.
Yeah.
We're a little bit closer to, maybe not.
Maybe
we evolved, we evolved and devolved. I don't know.
Let's just hope when the devolve happens and then we turn it around, we're higher than we were before.
That's all I can ask.
But I'm not sure that's been the case necessarily. I mean, there have been moments, of course, but
do we have to?
What's our trajectory?
Go to hell in order to know what heaven is. Jesus went there. Do I know that I have become more loving as a result of, that wasn't loving. This experience hurt to the core.
Yeah.
And it's not a place beyond this earth. It's on this earth. This was really hard. My gut was aching. And I think I need to be more loving as a result of that. So that nobody has to go through that.
We're in this class, all right, together at the church. And it was really interesting how we were talking about the vibration and the energy that the heart puts out.
Yeah.
It creates our aura. It creates that connectiveness with the universe and with each other. And we were talking about this, and it struck me that said, when we go to that place, the UGG place, that we just, man, that wasn't right. I shouldn't. Our heart hurts. We can recognize it by that feeling that says, ooh, okay, I can't quite get my head around this. I can't quite define it. I just feel it, and I know that isn't right.
Emotional, mental, spiritual heartburn.
Yes.
Which is hell. The eternal flame. It's the heartburn. My heart's not in congruity with what I just did.
Yeah. I wonder what kind of plop, plop, fizz, fizz we can take for that, huh?
I need a spiritual Alka-Seltzer.
Exactly. So here's what's commonly comes up, at least in the Christian circles, and I think probably in the Muslim circles as well, in Islam. You have this dual definition. Is it dualistic? This is the question. You have justice, and then you have love. And so now we try to take both of those and marry them into one personality and think that one can't dominate the other, depending upon how you're looking at God, all right? And yet, do we need that dualism? Do you want to say God's just? How does that flesh out? What do you think?
Well, I like to say we put it in their own personality there. That's the big problem.
Yeah.
God is a personality. Can that coexist in a personality, or is it just law? Is God a law and its natural consequences for what gets put out there? Again, you do A, B is going to happen. It's not that you were punished for it. It's that you learn or you don't learn. Hell, is you don't learn a lesson and you keep repeating it. Don't do that. That hurts when this happens, or somebody gets hurt when I do that. Let me do it differently. But it's really hard to do it differently if you've been justified because my God said it's okay to do it.
You're not
if
grounded.
God can do it, I can.
It gets back to that angry God create
angry people.
Angry people. I love the way that just to connect those dots, I think, absolutely, without even a question.
So can justice and love exist in the same field? Well, it depends on how you define justice.
Okay.
Judgment. I like to use discernment instead of judgment. Discernment is just it belongs or it doesn't belong. Oil and water, they're not going to mix.
Yep.
If you don't want the combativeness or the friction, just live in one or the other. But is the friction the greater, and I'm just playing with words here, is it the greater avenue to get back home? The prodigal son that we mentioned had to have the friction. Hell, I'm living with the pigs. That is hell for a Jewish man. That is the lowest of the low. I'm eating the slop. I went to hell. Then I needed that hell to realize, oh my gosh, I was already in heaven and it was here the whole time.
And I can change my trajectory by the way I think, first and foremost, and then what produces in the way I act. So let's come home.
Change my spirit, change my actions, change my experience.
So you want to be the older brother or the younger brother, man? I mean,
I want to be the father. I want to be the one that says, no matter how you behave, I'm still going to be the law.
All right, you get that choice. So here we are. We're coming home. All right, what a great episode. Thanks so much. This is a ponder point, for sure. It's a friction point. But if we press into it, lots of unbelievable things can happen. So let's ponder this a little more. Let's take it to heart. I appreciate it, Rev. Thanks so much.
Keep pushing it.
All right, brother. Take care.